in work. Now we have, and it's a good thing, we have a generous benefits system. But what that means, the quid pro quo of having a generous benefits system, is that you need, and these are the words of Stephen Nicol, not Angus Taylor, you need additional pressure on the unemployed to ensure that they get into jobs. So we have strong and rigorous research and support for the proposition that strictly enforced unemployment benefits and well-directed job search assistance improves employment outcomes and reduces unemployment. From one of the gurus of labour market economics, one of the most respected labour economists the world has ever seen. Now, this government, Deputy Speaker, is committed to building a strong and prosperous economy, promoting workforce participation and helping job seekers to find jobs. We're also focused on ensuring that job seekers remain in employment over the long term, and we're investing $5.1 billion in employment services to better meet the needs of job seekers, employers and employment providers. Our objective is to promote strong workforce participation by people of working age and importantly, help more job seekers move from welfare to work, because there is no better welfare than a job. So to do this, we'll be providing stronger incentive for employment providers to deliver high-quality services. We'll be making our expectations clear, or making the expectations we have for job seekers very clear in terms of active participation, and also reducing the level of regulation, complexity and red tape for employment providers. And they have been wrapped in red tape in recent years by the former government. This refocus of employment service arrangements will complement measures announced in the recent budget, including changes for job seekers aged 18 to 30 and the Restart wage subsidy to support mature age employment. It will also build on other government programs, including the Job Commitment Bonus for young Australians and relocation assistance to take up a job. Now, as has previously been the case, we expect that there will be a mix of employment providers, and that'll include profit and non-for-profit organisations involved in delivering these services across Australia. We are simply interested in organisations that are going to deliver outcomes, and we are simply interested in making sure we pay them for delivering outcomes, not optics. So there's a range of other changes that we're making in concert with this. The training will be more targeted. Job seekers will not undertake training for training's sake. We'll be simplifying and extending the mutual obligation framework to ensure that job seekers remain active and engaged while looking for work. This is not a box-ticking exercise. It has to be far more fundamental than that. We'll also be placing job seekers into one of 3 service streams based on the risk of becoming long-term unemployed and any serious non-job-related issues. This is incredibly important because it's going to ensure that funding is directed and rewards are directed to the employment service providers who are able to find jobs for those in the most critical situations. We shouldn't be paying employment service providers the full tape, the full amount, for someone who can find a job for themselves. We should be paying them to find a job for someone who is struggling to find a job. Now, these changes, and there's a range of them as I've outlined, and investment in employment services are all about helping job seekers find a job and keep that job, because part of the payment we make to the employment service provider won't just be for finding the job in the first place, it will be for making sure that that person stays in a job. Not something that those opposite decided to do, but something that we know really counts. They've got to keep their job, not just get it in the first place. And if we're to maximise the value of this investment, it's vital that our job seeker compliance framework encourages people to take responsibility for their actions, encouraging people to be active and engaged in the job search process. Now, as I said earlier, Australia's welfare system is based on the principle of mutual obligation. That is, people in receipt of taxpayer-funded income, such as New Start, are required to undertake certain activities in return for their income support. That includes attending appointments with their employment provider for help with job search and to monitor progress in finding and keeping a job. Currently, of course, if a job seeker fails to attend an appointment, their income support payment is suspended or put on hold, but once the job seeker agrees to attend a rescheduled appointment, the suspension is lifted and they receive full back payment. It's not as though there's a lot of incentive there to turn up in the first place. Good people will always turn up. We know that. And motivated people will always turn up. But we do have to provide an incentive, and as I said earlier, great research from people like Stephen Nicol tells us that that's the case. So this system will not provide, the system as it currently stands doesn't provide sufficient incentive for people to do the right thing the first time. Of the 12 million compulsory appointments in 2013-14, almost 4.5 million were not attended by job seekers. This is an absolutely astounding non-attendance rate of 35%, and we've heard from previous speakers all the reasons given by some of those people at least for that. And there are legitimate reasons in some cases, but certainly in some cases there are not. Now, under this bill, from the 1st of January 2015, where a job seeker's payment will be suspended following a failure to attend, if the job seeker didn't give a reasonable excuse for missing their first employment, or did not give reasonable notice of the excuse when it was reasonable for them to do so, they will not receive back payment once that appointment is rescheduled. Now, I think it's really important to recognise here that this bill will not affect the majority of job seekers who do the right thing. If a job seeker does have a reasonable excuse for their failure to attend an appointment, then the suspension and the loss of income support does not apply. Existing safeguards and protections for vulnerable job seekers remain in place. Deputy Speaker, in my own electorate of Hume, I'm constantly focused on bringing new job opportunities into my electorate. We're lucky to have relatively low unemployment, but I recognise that much employment comes from fast-growing small to medium-sized businesses. The investments they make for the future are also the source of new jobs. Whether it's new quarries, new abattoirs, breweries, poultry business, aircraft manufacturers or education service providers, I spend time with these people to make sure they're creating jobs. But the flip side is we need to have people who are actively searching for work with the appropriate level of support, and that is exactly what this legislation is intended to achieve. Deputy Speaker, I commend this bill to the House.